something interesting? Speaking hand signs. Okay, can they hear us now? Okay, well, there we go.
We're here, we're back.
Yeah, and we're still in the Toyota Lounge. Podcast still presented by Bet365. I'm still Henry. You're still Bennie, the Super Bowl champion. Still don't have Zach, which is a real shame. But, it's the two of us. We're going to try to talk through this.
Yeah. No, we'll be good. Do you feel any better after, the game's over? Obviously, there's a lot of emotion. Do you feel any better after watching the film? I actually feel a little bit better after watching the film. I watched the film this morning, offense and defense. I usually don't watch a lot of defensive film because that's just not what I do.
Yeah.
I'm more so concerned about the offense and what's going on there. We'll obviously jump into. I actually have some defensive clips to break down today, which is not a good sign.
Yeah.
If I'm breaking down defensive clips, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so I go through, and so I knew it was me and you. And so I thought, okay, passing game, Bennie has it. Yeah. So I went through and started with the Broncos runs, and then I went to the Colts runs, and then the Colts passes, and I had time to do the Broncos passes. And then somebody, PFF said that Bo Nix was the Broncos' worst offensive player yesterday. It's like, well, did I miss something? Because I just watched all 30 of these. I don't think that's true at all. So then I went back through a second time. That's crazy, right? To say that he was the worst Bronco on offense, 19 of 19.
Yeah, I was looking at the grade, and to be honest, I don't understand the PFF grading system when I thought Bo played pretty well. I think 22 of 30, 203 yards passing, 3 touchdowns in the first half. So I don't necessarily understand where the grade is. Obviously, the interception is costly, but maybe it's the incompletions that he did have. I don't know how they grade that for him to be our worst offensive player PFF-wise. I don't know what that means.
Right, and I go through, and I don't see a lot of things he could have done differently. Like, I think that there was a chance to get a completion on that 3rd and 25 at the end of the game, 3rd and 22, whatever it was, if he would have just gotten the ball out quicker to Pat Bryant on a drag. There was like a window he could have gotten that one. The reason he held the ball was because he's looking for the guys 20 yards downfield to try to convert the first down.
Right.
And so the fact that he missed that because he was trying to give other guys an opportunity to get open in a second window, like, I don't fault him there. I don't fault him when Evan Ingram runs a little out route and he even has like a little pick there from receiver and just can't get separation and the ball's incomplete.
I'm glad you saw that.
Yeah,
that was. I mean, I
think that we could talk about that one.
Yeah,
we are going to talk about that one.
No, we're not going to break that one down. But I think like little things like that, when you look at incompletions or if you don't watch the all 22 film, it's hard for people to see that because you can blame that incompletion on Bo and it's going to go on his stats. Right. But that's a rub route right there.
Exactly.
And Cortland doesn't get the rub and doesn't make the defender go over top, which makes that completion pretty hard to happen. So
100%.
Yeah, little things.
And you go through all those incompletions, and I just don't find many at all where I say Bo should have done something different there. Like Bo screwed this one up. Again, I think it's important that the interception was tipped at the line, and you could see it kind of wobble. I wonder if PFF just graded that as like a Bo threw a pick. That could tank it, but that's another one where I say it was a tough window to fit that into court.
I don't like the play call.
Okay, interesting. But I think there was a window there. I don't mind him, I don't mind the effort on that play right there to try to get that ball. It's bad luck. The 2 throws I didn't like, the fades. I think both of them, Cortland Sutton against Kenny Moore, and both just overthrown. Didn't give him a chance. And I think those are ones where you got to give him a chance. But those are nitpicking. Those are little things when you look at the rest of the game, and I thought he played an incredible game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say incredible. I'll push back on
3
that.
Touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So incredible first half.
Yeah, we can go there.
Yeah, I thought he played a good game. I do agree with you 1,000% though on the throws, the fade throws, the one on the left to Cortland, and then Cortland was in the slot. I thought he could have back shouldered those.
Okay.
And yes, we're nitpicking. Obviously, we're not quarterbacks, and it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback.
That's why I do it.
Yeah, it's super easy to play that. But I thought he definitely could have, made it or gave Cortland a chance. Back shoulder, and we saw Cortland and Bo hit on a couple of back shoulders in the preseason. Right. That hasn't carried over yet, but it's only week 2, so I thought Bo played really well. I thought there were opportunities where Sean could have helped him out in terms of the plays that were called, but then I thought there were also opportunities where the receivers could have ran better routes.
Yep.
I think there was a target to Evan Ingram where Evan had the opportunity to break in or out. He broke out, but he really should have broke in.
Huh.
So these are the little things. I think that's kind of where Sean and Bo actually got into it on the sideline. And I think Sean's asking Bo what happened. And I think, Bo's letting him know, like, hey, just wasn't there. Or, hey, he could have broke in. So I think, there's a lot. There's a lot there. I thought Bo played really well. I'm actually very encouraged just from the jump that he made from week 1 to week 2. And for the first half, when you look back at it, you can see what Sean can see when he's talking about Bo being that top 5 quarterback. You can see it.
Totally.
You can see the ability. You can see the big time throws. I mean, the scramble drill to Troy Franklin.
Insane.
That's an insane throw. That's just an incredible throw.
Are we talking about that one?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
I thought we'd be talking about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that one for sure.
Again, going back to your first question, though, do you feel better today after going back and watching? I think I do, because I think when you watch a game the first time, there aren't as many little details. I leave the game saying they couldn't stop the run, or the run game was pretty good. When you go back and watch, you can see exactly what happened. You can see, okay, so on this one, Colts shift late, Zach Allen tries to shift, and while he's trying to shift from the B gap to the A gap, they snap the ball. He's kind of like flat-footed, and Quentin Nelson just kind of gets him in the chest. Zach Allen gets knocked back. That's why that play didn't go well. And when you go through and see all of these different plays and see what actually happened, it's a different feeling than, wow, these Colts are just pushing the Broncos around. There's nothing they can do. It's all just these little things. And on defense, there were a lot of little things that need to get cleaned up. But I think that's why I usually feel better after a loss when I watch. And honestly, probably why I feel a little bit worse after watching a win over, because you're just like, well,
yeah,
you didn't just dominate. These are little things that they could have done differently, and they didn't. You made the right play. They made the wrong play. It is what it is.
Yeah, the Colts executed. We got to give them credit. They have not punted yet this season. So
crazy.
Yeah, with that, I mean, that's just crazy to hear. Daniel Jones has been playing really well. Is he the Sam Darnold of this year? I do agree 1,000%. Looking at the film, I thought the Broncos defensive line was getting punished. Now, they didn't play well by any means, but they weren't getting pushed around. I think the 170 or 60-yard run for Taylor is a huge. That's just a gash play.
Yep.
You can't let gash plays happen.
I think Singleton tripped on his own guy, stumbles a little bit, and that's why it opens up. And
he's got to make that play.
He does.
Can't stumble, but I thought the Colts offensive line just took it to the Broncos defensive line, and it wasn't the case. Broncos defensive line didn't play well, didn't generate enough pass rush, and it felt like the Colts got everything they wanted.
Yep.
It's almost like they knew the answers to the test. When you watch them play or you watch the game, you're like, oh, they just had an answer on every play.
This was the perfect call. Perfect call.
Every time.
Over and over again.
Every time. So I would say I don't feel good about the missed assignments.
Agreed.
I don't feel good about the blown coverages.
Agreed.
I don't feel good about people running open. I am not as worried as I thought about the secondary. I thought the secondary got picked on yesterday. And you don't see not Cortland, you don't see Pat Surtain get the ball caught on him a lot. I'm definitely not worried about that at all. When I look at the plays that the receivers caught the ball on him, I mean, he's in trail technique and he's running across the entire field. It's like, how do you want him to guard that?
Right.
And he still had sticky coverage. Those guys made plays and caught the ball. I think Broncos fans are just used to him not getting targeted at all.
Yep.
But I don't know. What did he give up? 4 or 5 catches? He didn't for 40 yards.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. But I was a little worried about the secondary, just first initial reaction. But I'm more so worried about the blown coverages and players running wide open.
We've got a lot planned for today. We're going to hit the inside scoop here in about 5 minutes or so. Dig into the offense after that, dig into the defense. But before we get too deep, we should probably talk about some of the big picture stuff. Or just the big decisions late in the game. The blocked, the penalty on the field goal that was missed. The timeout use before that is interesting. Having, 12 hours, whatever it's been, to think about this game. How do you feel about how that game ended and the decisions that were made and how it all played out?
The way I feel about that game, or the way the end of the game, I think the Colts tried to give it to the Broncos. Like, they tried to give the game away. Yep. Because their play calls before the field goal were terrible. They had 3 straight runs. They didn't try to make the field goal any easier for their team.
Exactly.
So I felt like the Colts coaching staff tried to give the game to the Broncos, and the Broncos shot themselves in the foot. Yes, the Broncos got called for leverage on the field goal play. I am not making a big deal out of that call because you shouldn't have been in that situation anyway.
Fair, yeah.
So you shouldn't have been in that situation anyway. You can always look at the play, and you can look at leverage, and you can look at the fact that that penalty, probably happens all the time on field goals. But I don't look at that. I look at the penalties, and I look at the missed field goal on the previous drive by the Broncos. Will Lutz, 42-yard field goal. You have to make that. You go up 5, and then I would take our defense against Daniel Jones driving the length of the field.
Absolutely.
100 times out of 100.
Yep.
I also think about the penalty. J.K. has a nice run for a first down, gets a 5-yard penalty, and then Troutman gets the face mask penalty on the next play.
Just a killer.
Just puts you in bad positions. I also go back to the turnover where you have to come away with points. Bo throws an interception, ball gets tipped. Yeah, there's people in his face, and he doesn't finish on the throw. Like I said, I'm not going to play Monday morning quarterback here. But what I will say is that if you end that drive in a kick right there, who knows? The momentum, the Broncos have been playing really well. So those are the things that I think about, as we're talking about the big takeaways from the game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about last week Bo's interception, the one he threw to the right side when Jeffrey Simmons is in his face. It's like, well, yeah, Bo should have made the throw, but the first domino was there was the pressure allowed right in his face. The penalty at the end was the very last domino of everything that had happened. There were so many opportunities. Jonathan Cooper, remember that pass to the flat maybe 2 drives before that he had a chance to grab, would have been a pick instead of points there, had room to run, would have been a decent return at least. Like, there's so many of those plays that could have been made and just weren't. If Troutman doesn't get called for that face mask and you have 1st and 10 instead of 1st and 25, how does that scenario play out?
Right.
There's a good chance you get that touchdown and all of a sudden the game's over. Again, you get the kick on the one you're talking about. It's a 5-point lead at the end. And like you said, Daniel Jones has to go the length of the field. The timeouts are interesting. I'm not sure how I would have played that out if I was Sean. So the Colts have the ball. They get up to the 46-yard line, their own 46-yard line. And that's when the 2-minute warning hits. So they run the ball, and Sean calls a timeout. They run the ball again, timeout. Short pass, converts it. That's that drag route where Alec Pierce is just running away from Pat Surtain. Tough to guard. But at the same time, like, you love having Pat on the team because on 3rd and 6, he's going to stop that guy. It just didn't happen that time. Yeah. And there's your timeout. So you call all 3 of those timeouts with 1:50 to go. I'm not sure if I would have done that. I think in the moment I was saying I would wait, make them run the clock down because you can save them for the next set of downs, and if you stop them before this, you win anyway. But I don't think I have any beef with how they handled that, because what happened was you wind up, they have the ball 1st and 10, 1:44 left at the Broncos 41-yard line when the Broncos are out of timeouts. So they're able to just run the clock down the rest of the way. Just a weird scenario. I think it's kind of telling that when the Broncos defense knew the run was coming, they were able to stop the run.
Yeah.
I think we can circle back to that later on in the show. But in those moments where you knew they were running, they had it all bottled up, which is a good sign, I think. And then you just can't get called for the penalty. Sean had a conference call this morning. He said he made a mistake. He shouldn't have been calling an aggressive block in that situation. You don't need to be selling out to try to block that kick because it's a 60-yarder. You kind of live with the result. If it had been a 40-yarder, then you call something. You try to get in the backfield, try to make a play. But, if it doesn't happen, if you get called for the penalty, you do it again, it happens. They're probably going to make the kick anyway.
Are we worried about Sean and his late game decision making right now? Because this is back-to-back weeks where there have been questionable calls that he's made, whether it's on offense and going forward on 4th and 8 last week, and then now calling an aggressive block and saying that, hey, he shouldn't have called an aggressive block for a 60-yard field goal. I mean, I think you live with a 60-yard field goal. I wouldn't call it a block at all.
With that kicker.
Yeah, you live with a 60-yard field goal, and if he hits it, he hits it.
Yep.
You know, I'd be curious to see what the Giants block was like yesterday, because Brandon Arbery from the Cowboys hit a 64-yard field goal.
And it's a guy who can do that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit different.
Yeah.
In that stadium, they were in New York, right?
No, they were
in the dome. So that's a little bit different scenario.
Yeah.
Than this kicker. But yeah, I'm not worried about Sean. Sean's a good coach. Notable that there are late game decisions in back-to-back weeks that are not what any of us would have done.
Does he start overthinking things now?
Maybe. We got a lot to talk about, though. Real quick, before we keep going, before we get in the inside scoop, got to give a shout-out to our friends over at Chicken and Pickle. Chicken and Pickle's awesome. Have you ever played pickleball?
Yeah, I have. I'm not good.
Yeah, I've only played once. And at first I wasn't good. And then, I never really got good, but I got to the point where I was like, oh, I get what's happening. I understand the rules. It's kind of a fun game. I used to hate on it. It's kind of a fun game.
No, pickleball is fun, and everybody can play it. It's a good sport where everybody can play.
Yeah, I think the plan is, once there's more free time, that we will be playing a lot more pickleball going forward. Chicken and Pickle, a great place to go because they got food. They've got a Sunday brunch. They obviously have all the pickleball that you can think of, yard games, full bar, all that sort of stuff. More than 50 indoor and outdoor TVs so that you can cheer on your favorite team. It's an awesome place. It's down, 14225 Lincoln Street in Thornton. Again, food, cold drinks, lots of fun, indoor and outdoor pickleball. So whatever you're looking for, they've got family-friendly fun for anybody. Visit chickenandpickle.com to plan your visit today. And also, want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Shady Rays. Living in Colorado, Shady Rays are important. You got to have your sunglasses because even in the winter, it's so sunny, it's so bright. Honestly, you might need them even more in the winter than you do in the summer here. Maybe that's crazy, but I think I stand by it. Shady Rays is the best place to go for sunglasses. They've got all the different things you could be looking for, including their polarized. So if you're looking for good-looking, polarized, durable sunglasses that aren't going to break the bank, Shady Rays is the place to go. You obviously have the ability to get them replaced if you lose them or if you break them. It's one of the best policies that you'll find really from any company at this point, but especially for sunglasses. So yeah, if you're in Colorado, you go hiking, go concerts, go boating. Shady Rays is the eyewear that has your back. They've also, we've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right. It is time for the Inside Scoop presented by Ent Credit Union. Bank like a Bronco. Go to ent.com/DNVR. That's ent.com/DNVR. Sign up for Broncos checking today. Ent Credit Union is insured by NCUA. Membership required. APY annual percentage yield. Account requires associate Ent Broncos debit card.
I'm about to break down some plays. Let's do this.
Yep.
Thanks, yeah.
Let's see what we got here.
So we got the first play. The first play is the scramble drill to Troy Franklin.
Yep.
I thought it was a great play. Incredible throw by Bo. One of the things that I think is super important to point out on this play is that the confidence of Troy Franklin and him playing with extreme confidence. 8 catches yesterday for 89 yards and a touchdown. One of the things that I can say, because I've played this position before, is that confidence is everything. And catching the ball with your hands is also everything as a receiver. If a receiver isn't confident when there's a scramble drill, he will try to stay as close to the quarterback as possible. He doesn't want to go down the field because he is nervous that he might not catch the ball. Troy Franklin turns up the field and goes for the deep pass because he is that confident now. He is obviously picked up where he left off from in terms of the preseason. Last week, 4 catches for 44 yards. This week, 8 catches for 89 yards and also 1 carry for 11 yards. So over 100 yards of total or 100 yards of total offense. So this play is deep curls right here. And then you had the flat routes right here. Typical Sean Payton staple play, deep curl routes. I felt like there could have been an opportunity right here for Marvin to get the ball. I think Bo was a little scared about this defender right here just staying underneath the out route. So you'll see right here, I think Bo's a little bit nervous right here about this throw, but Marvin has his guy beat. I love the spacing on this play. You see the triangle right here. And I just love the fact that this is a clear picture right here. You want Bo to throw this ball right here. You see the opportunity right here for Bo to make that throw. Doesn't feel good about it. Okay. He scrambles, uses his legs. This is just a crazy throw to me, and I think this is where the ability of Bo is just on display right here. When Sean Payton talks about Bo being a top four quarterback in the league, when you think about those quarterbacks, they can make incredible throws, not only by extending the play, but they can make off-platform throws, and Bo does that right here. This is what I'm talking about. If Troy wasn't a confident receiver, he would just come back right here and make it an easy throw, easy catch for 4 or 5 yards. But instead, he takes off.
Yep.
This guy right here, eyes on Bo, and Troy decides to take off. And there are not a lot of cornerbacks in the NFL that can keep up with Troy's speed. I think he has incredible speed. He has speed that you just can't teach, and you don't have that. Like, he has something that's super unique in terms of his ability to separate. And you see, he's got this guy beat right here, and then makes the catch over the shoulder. This is a hard catch to make, regardless of who you are as a receiver. Over the throw or over the shoulder catches are hard to make, and you see Troy make this play right here. And this is something that you love to see. I don't know what you think about this, but Emmanuel Sanders this could be the next Emmanuel Sanders, maybe this guy making plays down the field like that. I'd love to know your thoughts. Also, remember in this offense, we talked a little bit about this on the show with Dave Logan, is that Ted Ginn in this offense was that speed guy, somebody that can beat coverage at any point in time just because he has that unique ability. I think Troy's playing with extreme confidence, and you got a chance to see that yesterday.
Absolutely. I also think Troy maybe took a hint from Court there. Court had that curl. He comes back and then kind of tries to break out toward where Troy is. That's when Troy takes off.
Yeah.
I think he maybe took like a little key there from Court. If he's breaking out, go deep.
Yeah, I think that's something that you'd love to see.
Absolutely.
From a
Working
second
off
year.
each other.
Yeah, working off each other. And then also from a second-year player, just having that ability and feeling comfortable in the offense, like, hey, I'm going to go make this play right here.
Totally.
This is what you love to see, Broncos Country. If you are buying Troy Franklin stock, double down on it, because I think he is going to continue to make plays.
Yeah, I mean, I said last night, week 1, he has a big first quarter. This week, he has a big half. Soon we're going to get like the full game where everything's just Troy.
And I think that comes down to Sean as well. I think Sean saw early in the first half that Troy's playing super confident and fed him the ball. I'd love to see him continue to feed him the ball in the second half.
And I think you see some of that schemed up too. Like there's the touchdown where he kind of takes a couple steps in and then breaks out.
Yep. Great play call.
There's a short catch where he blocks and releases.
Yep.
Like he's chipping a bit and then leaks out. There's a lot of that stuff where it's just easy ways to get a guy open. It's interesting they're doing that for Troy.
Yeah. Oh, he's earned that. He's earned that. Here we got an RPO, a little bit of blocking, stutter slant right here. I think Bo did a great job. I thought he did a better job this week of reading the key defenders and taking what the defense was giving him, especially in the first half. And yeah, you got a little RPO action right here. Bo makes a great fake. Oh, can we go back? So here we go. Oops, sorry. So you see, Bo's got the lane to throw right here. Defenders' eyes are looking right here. We are selling run all day right here. I think this is a great play call. Great job by Bo in terms of putting the ball in J.K.'s stomach to make it look like a legit run, and then you have this right here. So Troy already has the ball right here, but you see the lane to throw it right here. And that's pitch and catch. That looks like routes on air. On air. I mean, that's what you want, and that's exactly how you scheme it up. That's exactly how you practice it. So love this play call right here. And then Troy has a little bit of run after catch to get it inside the 5. And I thought he did a great job with his run after catch ability. I mean, maybe it was like a third down play where they threw Troy a quick screen. He didn't get the first down, but you saw him put his foot in the ground and just get north. And that's something that you just love to see out of a receiver. So I thought Troy played really well. This is the touchdown play right here. So they started off in a condensed formation, and then they exploded into a normal formation right here. You got Trautman out here. I thought this was a great play design to, number one, give Bo a clear picture of the defense that they're in. They're obviously playing man-to-man. There's nobody on Trautman right now. And then you have the Q8, which is a rollout to the right. Q9 would be rollout to the left. Q8 is rollout to the right in Sean's offense. And then you have this play. I know when we were playing with Payton, it was called Madden. You know, he'd do his little signal right here, and then he'd call this play. But that's, you know, it's a pick play where RJ right now is going straight to the flat. He's going to the pylon. Trautman is setting a small little pick right here and then going to the corner. This is a great play call for man-to-man. You have options on this entire play right here. If Trautman gets the rub and they don't pass it off, Harvey is going straight to the pylon, and it's an easy pitch and catch. This is something that you saw Wes Welker catch a lot of touchdowns on, Julius Thomas, Jacob Tamme in Peyton's offense. And then if they don't pass it off, or if they do pass it off correctly, Trautman has the leverage because this defender right here is inside, and he can just beat his defender to the corner. And that's exactly what happens. He is wide open. This is Bo's first read. This is the second read. Trautman makes a play. Great play design by Sean. We love to see it. We love touchdowns. Bo with a little bit of swag right here, just a little fadeaway right there. We love to see it. So great positive play. I thought Sean did a great job in the first half of play calling, dissecting things, giving Bo a clear picture.
Yeah. There's just so many little things on these plays. The 23 personnel, super heavy. You're forcing the defense super heavy. You're making those guys cover. And it's not just the physical tools that Harvey has versus Zaire Franklin or versus whoever the linebackers are out there. It's also just the idea that you're making them communicate in a way that they're not used to communicating. Like, they're not used to being out there deciding, like, are we passing this off or not? And so much goes into that, including before the snap. Like, you see Trautman talking to the ref on his way out there as they're motioning to say, I'm on the line, to make sure he's set as soon as possible so that you can get this snap off quickly before they have time to talk about it. And that, to me, is what Sean Payton's all about. Yep. It's like all those little details. Make sure you get this down. Make sure you get this down. And when it all goes well, you give him the chance to make a terrible mistake and leave a guy wide open.
Yep, details matter. And I think the Broncos did a great job of details in the first half, not necessarily in the second half.
Yeah.
And, you know, those are the things that have to be cleaned up, offense, defense, and special teams-wise. Here is Bo. Troy Franklin's going to come in motion, and he's going to run an out route. You got a little mesh concept over here. Little out route right here. I think Indianapolis covered this play really well, but what I love is that Bo took off and used his legs, and I think, you know, that is a big advantage for Bo and will be a big advantage for the Broncos offense in the future, is for him to use his legs and want to use his legs more. It's easy for us to sit here and say that, you know, hey, you know, he shouldn't have thrown the ball on that 3rd and 3, the interception. Right. He should have used his legs there. That's something that I would love to see, but I think over time throughout this season, we're going to start to see him and Sean use his legs more because it's hard for him to be accounted for. I mean, we've seen Mahomes do it. We see Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen do it. These guys extend drives and extend plays because of their legs. So you see these guys right here. This is just everything's covered right now. And sometimes the Colts and sometimes defenses call the right defense right here. I don't think there's anybody open. This defender's looking him up right here. There's this defender right here. You got a couple people right here. So I think the Colts did a great job right here, but this is where when you have a running quarterback and somebody who has the dynamic ability of Bo Nix, you can go out there and you can extend drives, you can extend plays, and I love Bo right here. using his legs. It's going to be hard to stop that throughout the entire season. And as he continues to get better and more comfortable in this offense in year 2, I think you'll continue to see him take off. Hey, if there's option 1, option 2 aren't there, well, nobody can. Who are they going to account for? There's none of these linebackers can keep up with Bo. So I'm glad to see him use his legs right here and extend the drive.
Yeah, it's another example of just if a play is well designed at every level, you can create that opportunity. And in this play, you wind up with the offensive line allowing the C's to part, but you also have the receivers running a mesh concept. And as soon as they both cross the middle of the field, they're just pulling those defenders out of the middle.
Yep.
And it just creates this massive run lane. I think you see it in a bunch of different areas, whether it's, play action where you pull a guard to the right, and so the linebackers take that step this way, you run the crossers back behind. It's all these things that just need to be layered together for good plays. And those are the things the Colts did really, really well and kind of caused problems for the Broncos too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we want to see more of this going forward and in the future. I'd love to see more of this on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Bo uses legs. Here is the interception play right here. Let's actually go back. So they're running a over concept right here. This is something that you love to see on when there is man-to-man. You're getting man-to-man. I'm curious about the play call right here. Usually 3rd and 3, you are thinking man. And they played, it looked like a match zone to me where they were passing things off, but the linebackers were playing zone. And you see this coverage right here. So you see the linebackers dropping into these deep zones. You don't expect that on 3rd and 3. It's easy for me to say this, and I hate it when coaches do this, but even though I'm going to do it right now, they would point to things like this, like look at all this open area or ways for Bo to go out there and make a play with his legs. Playing quarterback is hard to do, and I don't necessarily like the play call right here. You need to get 3 yards. Maybe you can run the ball and get to a short 4th and 1, or you actually get the first down. But I think these routes right here are too deep.
Yeah.
To me, on a 3rd and 3 play, you had a lot of success, or not a lot of success, but you had some success throwing to Pat Bryant on a couple of slants on short yardage situations. Mm-hmm. You have these deep over routes right here. They do a great job. So they're playing like a match zone. So these guys are running with Cortland right here. The play is open. Bo has a hand in his face, and this ball obviously gets tipped, but this is the area that he's throwing to.
Yep.
You just want to see him. If he is going to miss it, he misses it over here. The ball gets tipped. It's hard to the play gets. It's hard to be upset at this. I mean, it's hard to be upset at Bo's decision because Cortland is actually open, and this play, could be made. If anything, you want to be upset about the protection,
right?
Because there's somebody in his face, but
You're
he
upset
actually
that DeForest Buckner's 6'7".
Yeah, because he actually is going to the right. Yeah,
It's,
he's going to the right guy. So this is one of the tough things that unfortunately, their players are getting paid too. DeForest Buckner gets his hand on this ball, but obviously you could see right here, Cortland is coming open. His defender's behind him. You just want this ball to be more on a line and more on a rope. But if it gets tipped, it gets tipped, and then the ball sails right there, and then this guy ends up making the play. That's just an unfortunate situation. I'd like to see a different play call there, but Bo did have the right option and read. And, I mean, Cortland is still open on this play.
Right. Yeah.
Now to the defense. I can't believe on the Inside Scoop I'm breaking down a defensive highlight, but one of the things that's super concerning was the open players that were open on some of these routes. Tyler Warren having some big plays. Jonathan Taylor caught 2 rail routes yesterday where there was no one around him. Alex Singleton was guarding him on one. I think Jade is supposed to be guarding him on this one, but they're running this concept right here, rail concept. Downs goes in motion, so somebody runs with him, and then Pierce runs an over route right here, and then Jonathan Taylor is coming wide open. I'm questioning the communication. I'm questioning the scheme, and was everybody on the same page? Was the communication on the same page? Was everybody on the same page for this game plan? Because it didn't seem like that. And this is this is inexcusable.
Right.
Not saying that the Colts are a bad team, but people can't be this wide open in an NFL defense on an NFL defense. That cannot happen.
And you would really guess that that's on Jade. Again, you don't know for sure, but when you see him kind of lined up over the slot, you see Pat take the guy who goes on the vertical route. You would imagine the flat is his responsibility because I don't know who else's responsibility it could have been.
Yeah, and those things have to be communicated.
Yep.
This is, Jade's a young player. Obviously, he's only playing in his second game, but you got to over-communicate right here because, Jonathan Taylor is the Colts' best player, second best player, however you want to say it. He should be accounted for on all plays.
Totally.
You can't let him wide open. So these are things that have to be cleaned up. Yeah, this is just too wide open right there.
Yep.
This is the same play. This is later on in the game right here. They do a different type of motion right here. But Alex right here is getting picked. So, he's got to fight over the top. He's got to try to get through the mess and get through the noise right here because Jonathan Taylor is open again. And this was well designed by Shane Steichen, the head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. But these are the little things right here that have to be fixed for the Broncos defense. I think the Colts did a great job of picking on our linebackers. I think that's something that could continue to happen for these new matchups that are getting ready to come with the Chargers, the Bengals, the Eagles. We're getting ready to play some dynamic running backs. Or Marion Hampton, Saquon, obviously, with Philly. You're going to have some opportunities where these guys are going to try to get Alex Singleton in space, and this is exactly what happened. I mean, this is just too open right here. Communicate. You got to figure out how to communicate this and how to pass it off. Or if you are going to play man-to-man, Singleton, you got to fight through that faster. But these explosive plays, these are gash plays that cannot happen.
Absolutely. I agree. Before we move on, I want to give a shout-out to some more of our friends. This time, we're talking about our friends over at the Gold Crown Foundation. So Gold Crown Foundation, you already know if you grew up playing basketball in Colorado because you probably played in the Gold Crown Competitive Basketball League. They've got divisions for 4th graders through 8th graders with the feeder teams, the gold, silver, bronze, and the club teams, the elite and open levels. Not only do they play in high school gyms, but they also get to play at the Gold Crown Fieldhouse. It's high energy or 6 courts. Now's the time to find a team in your area. Their tryout pages on their website. You can check with your local school as well. Personally, I believe if I was president, one of the first things I would do is say it's mandatory for all kids to play basketball. I think
Why is that?
I think it's just like the perfect game for that, and it gets kids active, teamwork. Like I think everybody sees the value of competitive sports, but I feel like basketball in particular, it's like just good for that.
Yeah,
it doesn't take much,
I mean, basketball is my favorite sport. So
yeah, you
I'm
just
with you.
put the kids in the gym, give them a ball, let them go play.
Yeah.
Football's great, but you have to like do a bunch of planning. So follow my advice. Sign up for Gold Crown Foundation. You can learn more and sign up by scanning the QR code on the screen right now, or you can visit the goldcrownfoundation.com. Also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Monarch Money. Monarch Money makes my life so much easier. They're the very best in budgeting apps. It's more than a budgeting app. So you can track all your finances, your credit cards, investments, anything that has money tied to it. You can just plug it right in there and follow along, and it puts it all in one place, which is really convenient for people like me who, before Monarch, it'd be easy for me to say like, yes, I have my growing little stocks account that I look at once every 6 months or so. But then when you're just logging on and you see how things are going, it's just good to be in touch with your finances. It's good to know if you're spending too much money at Starbucks or whatever you may be doing. Starbucks is mine that I need to cut down on. And Monarch is the best. Monarch is the very best. You don't need to track every dollar, but ignoring your finances can really cost you in the long run. And they just bring all of your finances to one spot. It's the best budgeting app of 2025, according to the Wall Street Journal. Forbes' best app for couples because it keeps couples happy and on the same page. Named in CNBC's top fintech companies in the world. So don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. It's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR. All right. Back in the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by Bet365. This is the Toyota Lounge. And make sure you guys give us a like and subscribe and comment in the chat. Tell Benny how great his film breakdown was.
Make me feel good.
Yeah, it all goes a long way. It really helps us. Go over to iTunes or Spotify. Listen to us again over there if you want. Or at the very least, give us a 5-star review because that really does help us out. You want to talk offense or defense next? Curious. Where do you feel like you got something built up?
Always on offense.
Okay, let's go offense first.
Always on offense.
I want to go with this running game.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun watching it. I think that the offensive line was very much on the same page this week. It felt like every time they called a run play, the guys were in the right spots making their blocks. And it's not that that wasn't the case last week. It's just that it wasn't the case quite as often last week as it was this week. But it was whether it was the zone blocking and getting up to the second level, whether it was using Ben Powers as a puller, it was great. But I think what really separated them was the blocks from the receivers. J.K.'s touchdown run, you have Cortland Sutton out in front at the goal line blocking a guy. And he's holding him there for enough time for J.K. to get in behind him. It's a crucial block, and Court had a bunch of those. And after last week's game, I was not thrilled with Court's effort in the blocking game. Bounce right back. You got crack tosses going his way, and he's taking out defensive ends. And that's the kind of stuff that's just so good to see and that can really unlock a run game.
Yeah, I think, well, number one, I agree with everything you said. I think the Broncos can really build off of this. I love the fact that Sean really stuck with the run. I think J.K. is going to continue to be that workhorse back. I think he has great vision. I love the fact that we got a chance to see a lot of positive runs.
Yeah.
And even though it's not the sexy 15, 25-yard run, those 3 to 4 yard runs to get you in 2nd and 7 or get you into 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 2, you want to continue to see that. And I think that also helps mirror up with the play action game. So
right.
I love the way the offensive line played. I thought they did a great job of protecting Bo yesterday. I thought they did a great job in the run game for the most part. The offensive line is not going to be perfect, but they created some nice pockets for Bo, and they created some nice running lanes for J.K. Dobbins. And I think, as the season continues to go on, the running backs are going to be able to find even more holes that the offensive line have created. So I don't think we had any penalties yesterday from the offensive line either, or did we?
No, a face mask was on.
That was Troutman. Yeah, that was Troutman.
I think that might be it.
Yeah, so I thought they played a clean game.
They did.
Shout out to the offensive line. We don't always talk about the offensive line and give them all the credit because we love the big plays down the field and what Troy Franklin did and all of that. But I thought the offensive line played a really solid game yesterday.
Yep. And they had the highlight plays too. So there were the consistent gains are probably what really matters. Like when Dobbins takes off for the 40-yard run, whatever it was, where he spiked the ball
20
after.
yard, 23-yard run.
Yeah, it felt longer.
Yeah.
That was the reason it worked, though, is because you're running duo, and you've got the double team with Bowles and Powers on Buckner, and they're just pushing him 10 yards downfield. And when the running back is pushing this way, and the cutback lane is so far downfield, those angles just change when you get pushed like that. And that's not something that we saw a lot from the Broncos offensive line last year. It's just defenders, defensive linemen pushed way back downfield, creating these massive lanes. And to do it against DeForest Buckner, of all people, makes it feel even better.
Yeah, I think the offensive line is, starting to get that rhythm.
Right.
And I think Sean will and should continue to lean on them in terms of the run game.
That was nice to see.
I also think they created some great passing lanes for Bo.
Right.
And also some great running lanes for Bo. Right. They are doing a great job. I think they did a pretty good job. Also last week, you want to, especially in those 3rd and 3 situations, 3rd and short situations, I'd like to see nobody in Bo's face or if DeForest Buckner, obviously he's played really well. Get these guys hands down. Get their hands down. That's what you want to see. I don't know. Yeah, jab them in the ribs or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. But you want to get their hands down because we don't want to see any tip passes, and that's one thing. That's one area that could be cleaned up.
I agree. It's fun seeing. To me, the difference between J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey right now is just the the feel for creating running lanes. Because there are a couple plays, your offensive line isn't great. Like, the defensive linemen are all in their gaps. Like you see them, they're overhanging. You can't get through the A gap because the guy's there. B gap, guys like one arm here, one arm there. I think with Dobbins, you see him manipulate that. You see him press one way and get the defensive lineman to be like, oh, I'm gonna jump out this side and then cut back and use that space. And that's what veteran running backs do. And I think when you talk about vision, sometimes it can be used just like, oh yeah, he has good vision. And nobody really thinks about what it means. What it means is he can do things like that. He can take a linebacker and say, hey, look, I'm going to this B gap on the right side. Look, I'm pushing this way. And then bang, cut back in the A gap on the left side. And he's off and running and created this space. And that's where I feel like we just aren't quite seeing it with Harvey yet.
He's a young buck.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's not a concern. It's just that you watch him run the ball and you can't say like he made a mistake here. He should have gone this way. But you can say 3 plays before you saw a similar run from J.K. Dobbins where he's like pushing this way, cutting back, creating leverage for himself. And I just hope that Harvey kind of grows and sees some of that sort of stuff. Tyler Bidet, great catch on the screen also.
Yep. Great job. Great job there.
I love that he had a play like that after what happened last week.
Yeah, for sure. Love the fact that he made a huge play. I'm curious to get your thoughts on Sean's play calling and what you think there and how he called this game today or called this game yesterday besides the fourth quarter, because the fourth quarter it was not good.
I love the beginning. Yeah. We were on the watch line, just run it again, run it again. And if they can't stop it, you just do it over and over and over. That's the easy way to win football games.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of different ways to win football games. The easy way is they can't stop us running the football. And so we just get to run every single time. And there's no risk of putting the ball in the air. We can go heavy. If they know we're doing it, they can't stop it. And even if it isn't these dominating wins every time, at the very least, you're sucking the linebackers up. You're making the safeties think about the run game. And that creates opportunities to throw the football as well. And I love that when they were running the ball early and it was working, they kept going. They just kept going. They didn't stop. I think it was they didn't pass the ball until they were across midfield on that first drive, I believe.
Yeah.
So I think that commitment to the run game, for Sean in particular, that's the first thing I look at, because sometimes he struggles with that. And fans do too. You see 2 runs get stuffed at the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden you say, we can't run the football. And you just keep throwing and throwing. That doesn't happen in the passing game. You never see Bo throw 2 incompletions and Sean just says, oh, time to abandon the passing game.
Right.
But sometimes he does it with the running game. And to see him stick to it when it's working and go back to it throughout the game, that makes me feel good. I love that.
What do you want to see more of?
That's a good question. I think they might have been a little bit late or a little bit light on the play action yesterday. There might be more room for that. I really can't complain about much, though, just because it all kind of worked. I think the wide zone in particular was working. I might just say lean on that even more. The split zone, when you have Trent Sherfield even coming back, cracking across. Maybe I'd just say fewer screens.
Yeah.
I think I like the screens. I get that that's a big piece of the Sean Payton offense. But I think that when you can run the football consistently, they become less valuable because there are other ways to get those short gains and they involve less risk.
Mims had Mims had 2 catches.
One big one.
Yeah, one big one, one for a touchdown. I'd love to see more from Sean you have a lot of weapons. Troy Franklin has this explosive breakout game, but Cortland only has 1 catch. Evan Ingram only has 1 catch. Where is this? We talked about the Joker the entire offseason and how excited he was when they signed Evan in free agency and all the different things that you can do in an offense with a player like Evan Ingram, somebody who's super dynamic, somebody who can run routes like a receiver, somebody who can have run after catch like a receiver, somebody who can also put his hand in the dirt, create these matchups, nightmares for the opposing defense. Where is Evan Ingram in this offense? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Where is he in this offense? Okay, hey, he was a little banged up coming off the game from week 1, then why is he dressed? If you're not going to use him, why is he dressed?
Right.
If he's hurt right now, let him rest up so we can so we can move, so he can get healthy and then you can use him. But look at how Tyler Warren was used for the Colts yesterday. They put him in the backfield. He inserts through the A gap, runs a sail route or an over route.
Unbelievable.
They put him in motion.
Genius
he runs an out route. They use him in so many different ways. Tight end screen. Where is that stuff now in the Broncos offense? Where is the Evan Ingram? Because he is that matchup nightmare. There's nobody on the Colts in the Colts linebacking core who could cover him. I don't think there's anybody in the secondary for the Colts who could cover him. So how do we get more? I mean, we put up 28 points.
Right.
But how do you get Evan more involved? And how do you get Cortland more involved? I mean, one catch, yeah. I mean, to score 28 points on the road and Cortland only have one catch, great. But we got to start using these dynamic playmakers.
I'm curious what the thought process is. Evan missed a block on a screen yesterday that was a little frustrating. A little bubble to Troy Franklin, just whiffs on Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore is good at that. He's made a career on that. Yep. Have to make it. There was also one great block he made in a run game where he's just pushing I think it was a defensive end back. And it's like, okay, there is something like that there. I wonder if there's something matchup-wise with the Colts in particular where you say, hey, we just want to go heavy with our tight ends. And, we have Troy Franklin working. Like, we don't need to try to cheat into 12 personnel, make the defense match that with their heavier personnel. Because if you choose a receiver over Evan Ingram, you get corner on the field instead of a linebacker. As much as you might like, Evan Ingram versus a linebacker better than Troy Franklin versus whatever corner it is yesterday because of the two injuries, it's cornerback number 5 for them who they're bringing onto the field. That might play into it a little bit. It also means that when you go to run the ball out of those formations, you're expecting a little bit less help from out there. But I'm not sure. It doesn't make sense to me. I try to rationalize it, but I was very surprised we didn't see more Evan Ingram once again this week.
I think that's something that's going to have to be changed for this week. And then, you got these next 15 games. Evan's got to start having a impact on this offense. Not only for himself and who he is, but also really, to be honest, for Bo.
Right.
You don't want to make things look so hard. So throw some passes to Evan Ingram. With that being said, I love that Pat Bryant got involved in the offense. That was great to see him catch the ball. Somebody who has strong hands. That definitely was a positive from the offensive side of the ball. I could talk about offense all day, but I love the fact that Pat Bryant got involved. I'd love to see him more in on these third and short situations, somebody that the defense isn't expecting or game planning for to come in and make a play. But, yeah, shout out to Pat Bryant getting a couple catches here and making in some first downs.
Let's talk some defense. First, though, should give a shout-out to our friends over at Taco Bell. Taco Bell makes everything in life just so much better.
Love Taco Bell.
I have a constant urge to go get Taco Bell, especially like yesterday. We leave the bar around 7 o'clock, 7:30 maybe.
Yeah.
After a long day of work, a lot of talking. I also had like a Coors Light and a half, and so that just makes it even more so. And on the way home, it's just so tough not to go stop at Taco Bell. We love Taco Bell, and right now they have a whole bunch of deals going, including their Decades menu. Right now they're focused on Y2K, so they've got a bunch of their classics from then. Caramel apple empanada, the chili cheese burrito, 7-layer burrito, double-decker taco. They're all $3 or less. You already suffered the dial-up in the early 2000s. At least those of you who were there. I luckily did not have to. Don't wait any longer. Experience Taco Bell's Decades Y2K menu now. And we want to shout Taco Bell because every time CU scores a touchdown this year, Taco Bell helps support CU athletics with a $1,000 donation to the Golden Buffalo Scholarship Fund. Sco Buffs and Liv Moss at Taco Bell. Also, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Bet365. Bet365 is awesome. We use all sorts of their products every day. Mentioned yesterday, they have specials for Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays. Because it's football season, so there's football just about every day. Bet365 is the best. I spent a lot of time on that app yesterday. I'll be back on there tonight. I'm thinking double underdogs tonight.
Double underdogs.
Bucks beat the Texans. There we go. And then Raiders, I think, at home pull it off against the Chargers as well. So there's my move. You got to be 21 or older. Physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Back in, wrapping things up here with some thoughts on the defense. Not a good day for the defense.
Not a good day for the defense. Not as bad as I thought.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think it was as bad. They have. I'm really more concerned about the huge gash plays, the Jonathan Taylor on the touchdown, the swing route, how open he was on those plays, the Tyler Warren gash play. Thinking about those things, definitely not worried about Pat Surtain at all. Yeah, he had some passes caught on him. It's hard to cover the entire field. They're starting the receiver off on one side of the field and then running him across the entire side of the field. Like, that's just a hard thing to stop. So, it is what it is right there. The run defense has to be better. You can't allow those things. But, Henry, I think you pointed out something very important. When the Broncos had to be good or had to have a stop, they actually made the stops.
Right.
To get the 60-yard field goal, they made the stops there. And then also in the red zone. The Colts came down to the red zone 6 times, and the Broncos forced 4 field goals, I believe.
Right.
So that's why I say it's not as bad as we thought. Yeah, you don't want them to get down into the red zone, but when they had to stop them from scoring touchdowns, they did, especially on the road, in a hostile environment.
Mm-hmm. And the one touched, did they only score one touchdown? There must have been multiple. But
Daniel Jones threw one.
Yep, the swing route. There were 3. So the swing route, though, that's one that's just a coverage bust.
Yep, coverage
Could
bust.
have avoided that one. Like, to me, the issue, or at least, honestly, the solution was shortening the field.
Yep.
And when you get down to the red zone, you don't have to worry about them throwing so deep. You don't have those big gaps between the linebackers and safeties that they were exploiting with those crossing routes. And it wasn't just against zone coverage. They did against man coverage as well. You saw them run away from receivers. Or run away from the Broncos DBs. I think, first of all, Daniel Jones played an incredible game.
Yep, played really well.
He didn't miss throws.
Yep.
If there was an opportunity there, he took advantage.
Yep.
And, you see him finish 23 of 34. That comes out to 68% completions. There were at least 3 throws that I didn't think were caught. Like receivers coming back to the ball, kind of diving, getting their arms underneath, making really good catches. And if those fall incomplete, then all of a sudden, instead of 23 for 34, he's 20 for 34. Instead of 68%, that's 58%.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that's a very big difference in these games. That's stalling out some of these drives. And so, while the coverage does need to be better, as crazy as it sounds, I don't think you'll see a quarterback be able to hit every single throw like that again. Like he was just on the money. And maybe the most important part is that he was getting the ball out so quickly.
Yeah, he
was. And it just totally negated the pass rush. That and the fact that you're running the ball for 8 yards a pop or whatever, you're winding up with a very small number of third and shorts, or very small number of third and longs where you get to pin your ears back and rush. A lot of third and shorts, so you don't get the pass rush opportunities. And so he's just comfortable back there.
Yeah, they got to do a better job of pressuring. They got to make sure that they are sound in their assignments, because the Broncos defense being as good as it is, the Colts now have or put out the game plan to beat them, spread them out, these different motions that they use with downs out of the slot, the matchup nightmare that Tyler Warren was, but they are looking to attack the middle of the Broncos defense. So these are things that got to be changed up.
All right. Before we get out of here, we got to hit a couple super chats. This one from Pure Lapine. There we go. A little bit bigger. $5 says, we need more slant out routes. Troy Franklin was killing those. Can't tell me he's the only one that can run them. Yeah, I mean, the idea that you could clear out space, create little picks, get the ball to playmakers. Yeah. I think maybe that's what's next for this passing game.
I think
run after catch.
100%. I think that's what's next. I think Troy Franklin did a great job of that yesterday. And then also Pat Bryant had a couple slant routes, so we need more.
Also, super chat from Aiden, my cousin, $5. The defense was rough, but the offense looked good for 3 quarters. Daniel Jones is just having his I'm free from New York run, and Taylor is very good. Taylor is very good.
Yeah, he is.
How surprised will you be if he leads the NFL in rushing this year?
I won't be surprised. And to be honest, I think the Broncos,
they helped.
They helped, but also last year the Colts, if he doesn't mess that up, with the fumble, like they played well against us last year with Richardson.
They did. Ryan Nemec says, Lutz just isn't clutch. First, the Jets game last year, we got bailed out. Now this, like Benny said yesterday, is 90% good if you missed those. The answer is no. I think I saw somebody say he's 4 for 8 with the Broncos in the last 5 minutes of games. That's not good enough.
That's not good.
The fact, though, that he is still your best by percentage field goal kicker in your history.
That means nothing to me.
Nothing?
It means nothing.
Nothing
you're
at all.
You're 50%.
Yeah.
You're a 50% field goal kicker in the clutch moments.
It's tough. It's really tough. Nick's out for Harambe, $5. Evan Ingram looks like the Jared Leto version of Joker. Up to this point, I get it. Not giving up yet. Warren looks solid, though. I think my optimism is just that you build on it throughout the year. Like early in the year, you run only like your base stuff, offense and defense. A lot of like your base runs, base passes, and then you build from there. I like to think, I cope by thinking the Evan Ingram Joker type things that you try to do on offense might be a little bit more complex, and maybe you're, working in throughout the season.
I'm optimistic about it.
Okay.
I think Sean figures it out. I think right now, that's a new relationship, so they'll figure it out over time, but it's got to happen soon in the next couple of weeks.
I agree. All right, that's going to do it for today. Be back tomorrow with another show. We're here every day. Make sure you give us a like on the way out, comment, hang out in the chat, all that sort of stuff. 5 stars on YouTube. Appreciate you all for watching. Appreciate Benny, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.